Welcome to A Journey with Food, Body, and Life podcast, a show for self-led women who are ready to step into their own transformation with food and body. I am Haneen, a certified eating psychology coach and a mom of two. I believe it's time for a deeper approach to our nutritional health, one that not only helps us heal with food and body, but also heal with our life. Join me each week for guidance on your journey so that together we'll find your way back to fully loving yourself. If you are tired of the mainstream approaches and you want to go deeper to heal with the root causes of your challenges like emotional eating, binge eating, body image issues, and you're ready to live in peace and freedom, then this is the perfect show for you. Hi there, and welcome to episode 7 of A Journey with Food, Body, and Life podcast, where I am going to walk you through the difference between nourishment and restriction. So, nourishment and restriction are two contrasting approaches to food and body that have different effects on overall well-being and how we view food and our relationship to it. And in my latest episode, I shared with you some facts and reasons why diets fail to maintain long-term results with our health. And when I say restriction, I mean following a certain diet plan or food rules to either lose weight or as your way of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So, at the end of that episode, I briefly mentioned that instead of seeking diets and restrictions, we want to learn how to nourish our bodies. Hence, this episode. This is what we are going to do, or we are going to be talking about in this episode. All right, let's dive in. Before we get started, I want to clarify that in this context, I am not talking about the medical restriction. So, if you have gluten sensitivity or lactose intolerance or any other medical issues related to specific types of foods or maybe food quantities, of course you might want to follow a certain regimen that might look like a restriction to you. In fact, you are nourishing your body when restricting these foods because you are honoring your body and staying away from the foods that do not serve it well and might actually inflict harm on it. So, with that being said, let's start by differentiating between the two. Nourishment and restriction, and then I will share with you some steps on how to move from restriction to nourishment, meaning how to start nourishing your body. So here's one comparison between the two. Let's start with restriction. Restriction involves limiting or avoiding certain foods or food groups. For example, chocolates, chips, carbs, fats, and other foods that you might deem as bad or are not good for you, or they might cause you to gain weight or not lose weight. And all of this, it often stems from external rules or strict dietary guidelines. And here's the thing. Restrictive eating patterns may lead to deprivation, feelings of guilt or shame around food, and a very unhealthy relationship with eating. And restriction can be detrimental to your physical and mental well-being, as it may lead to nutrient deficiencies, disordered eating behaviors, and a negative impact on your overall health. So, in comparison, nourishment, on the other hand, emphasizes providing your body with the essential nutrients it needs for optimal functioning and overall health. So, can you see the difference? Restriction focuses on weight loss or eating right or whatever. it focuses on rules, whereas nourishment emphasizes you providing your body with the essential nutrients for its optimal health and functioning. You see the difference between the two. So, nourishment provides a balanced approach to eating, focusing on consuming a variety of foods that provide, let's say, vitamins, minerals, and other beneficial components. And it also provides a positive relationship with food where all foods can be enjoyed and they're welcome. And here we focus on learning how to listen to your body and serve it with the right amount of any type of food. This will nourish your body and will nourish your soul at the same time. And of course, this doesn't inflict any harm or discomfort on it. So, this is also what we consider when we are talking about nourishment. Now, another difference is in the nature of the approach. So, restriction is based on strict rules, as we said, whereas nourishment is based on a flexible approach to eating where you are in touch with your body, not forcing it to eat this or that or to eliminate this or that, but to honor its cues from hunger to fullness and provide it with nutrient dense foods while also taking into consideration the pleasure or satisfaction factor and your cravings and desires. So, here, nourishment is not limited to only fueling your body, but also satisfying the pleasure element we get from food. So, a chocolate bar doesn't necessarily contain high nutrition, but it is satisfying to your soul, especially when you are mindfully eating it and savoring every bite. In fact, honoring this urge might sometimes prevent you from overindulging later on during your day or maybe overeating. So, let's keep this topic for another episode where I will show you the difference between emotional eating and listening to the urges and desires because there is a difference between the two. The other difference is that restriction is a one size fits all approach, where all people who are following the same diet are expected to eat and exercise the same way, regardless of their genetics, their level of stress, regardless of anything that has to do with that person. Whereas nourishment honors the uniqueness of each body and acknowledges that the individual dietary needs may vary, especially during the times where, for example, I am stressed out, I'm moving a lot, I might need a little bit more food than the usual. Sometimes my period is coming and there is hormonal changes happening inside my body, so my dietary needs are going to be different than during my period or after period. So nourishment takes all of this into consideration, not just the changes from one individual to the other, but the changes that are happening within the same individual, within the same person. Another thing is that restriction is based on fear or based on the energy of fear or shame or I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be eating that, I shouldn't be going out and having fun with my friends and eating whatever I want. Whereas nourishment comes from the energy of abundance with food. It comes from the energy of peace and freedom with food and with consuming different types of foods and nourishing my body in different ways. Now, when I say freedom, I'm not saying here that you literally can eat whatever you want whenever you want. That's not realistic. That's not what the body actually needs. Freedom as in how you are perceiving food, not fearing it, not being afraid that your body right now desires sugary foods. Freedom to acknowledge and honor your body regardless of what it needs. One last thing is that restriction can sometimes be mental and not physical. Meaning, You might be saying, okay, Haneen, I get it. I shouldn't be restricting foods. I shouldn't say no to this. I shouldn't eliminate that type of food. And the thing is, I'm not. I'm not restricting. I'm allowing myself to eat whatever I want. But I still feel this tense relationship with food, especially when I eat chocolates or chips or fried foods. Okay, well, here's the thing. You might be consuming these foods that, by the way, you are still labeling as bad food. And for you to build a healthy relationship with food and to live food freedom, you need to drop the food labels. But let's keep this to another episode. So, yes, you are consuming these foods, but in your head, you are still telling yourself that these foods are bad for you and that you shouldn't be eating them and that they will make you gain weight or not lose weight, and you should feel guilty about consuming them. So the restriction is in your head. You are not necessarily stopping yourself from consuming them, but the restriction is happening in your head, and it's creating feelings of confusion with food, feelings of guilt or shame when you crave them or when you consume them. Now, let's move on to the next part of this episode. So, yes, we talked about the difference between nourishment and restriction. And now I want to share with you how to transition from restriction to alignment with your body, aka nourishment. So, here are some steps you can follow. First and foremost, we want to reject diet culture. We want to reject it. We want to ditch it. So I want you to recognize and reject the influence of diet culture on you, which promotes restrictive behaviors and unnecessarily body goals. So I want you also to surround yourself with body positive and non-dietary messages to foster a healthier mindset. So you might want to start unfollowing people or accounts on social media that make you feel bad about yourself in regards to food and your body, or those accounts that advertise for weight loss or they promise you to get the results they got if you follow their own diet plan. So, with the work, you will get to understand which accounts are negatively influencing you and influencing your relationship with food and body. And in return, look for those accounts and start following them and follow their message and their work. Those accounts that spread body positivity or body neutrality, that talk about bringing intuition into your eating experiences, talk about ditching the diet, learning all about the healthy ways of dealing with food and body, and all of these things. So essentially, look for this sense of calmness and serenity and solace when it comes to finding those accounts that will help you ease out from the diet culture and into nourishment and building a healthy relationship with food and body. Now, the second step would be to challenge restrictive beliefs. So, here I want you to examine and challenge any restrictive beliefs or rules you might have about food, exercise, or your body image. So, question the origins of these beliefs and consider the impact they have on your well being. All right? Now, the third step is self awareness. Here, I want you to start to develop a greater awareness of your body and its needs. So, pay attention to any physical sensations you might feel, whether you are eating or not. So, for example, physical sensations of hunger, of fullness, or maybe discomfort in your body if you had bloating after eating this type of food or whatever. So, as you are bringing more self awareness, bringing a greater sense of awareness with food or with your eating experiences, you are understanding what your body needs. And from here, we move to the next step, which is mindful eating. So, practicing mindful eating by tuning in to your body's hunger and fullness cues, help you be in touch with your body and understand it on a deeper level. So here, you do not want to rely on food rules anymore. You want to rely on what your body needs. And with that being said, yes, we do still rely on the scientific guideline or knowledge in regards to health and wellness. We are not using them as food rules, we are using them as general guidelines to nourishment, and then relying on our body, the cues from our body to learn when to eat, how much to eat, and all of these things. So, more on this in the upcoming episode, hopefully. Moving on to the fifth step, which is intuitive movement. So here you want to engage in physical activities that you enjoy and that feel good to your body. So transitioning from strict rules when it comes to exercise to exercises that align with what your body needs takes some time. So right now I want you to focus on engaging in these activities that feel good to your body, not considering how much calories you have lost so far or the number of steps you are going to walk today and all of these things. So eliminate the numbers for a while. We don't want them. Not just for a while, forever. We do not want to look at numbers and let the numbers dictate what exercise we're doing or how long it is going to be and all of these things. So intuitive movement, this is what we want. Listen to your body's signals and give it the movement it craves, whether it's through walking or dancing or yoga or any other form of exercise. Literally, there is no one exercise that fits all human body needs. It really depends on what you like, your preference, and it depends on what your body enjoys. Now, the last step is to seek support when needed. So I want you guys to seek support from professionals such as maybe therapists or health coaches or body image coaches who can guide you through this process and help you develop a healthier relationship with food and your body. And lastly, let's remember that this transition is a personal journey and it might take time and effort from us. So for me, it might take me, let's say, a couple of months or maybe a year. And for you, it might take you more or less depending on your own body, depending on your own situation, depending on your own restrictions that you went through and the wiring in your brain and all of these things. So be patient and compassionate with yourself as you work towards aligning with your body and embracing a more intuitive and mindful approach to health and wellness, simply because prioritizing nourishment over restriction promotes a positive relationship with food, a healthier mindset, and a more sustainable approach to long-term well-being. All right, that's it for today. I wish you a blessed journey with your food and body. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week.